Good afternoon, good evening, ignorant millennials. How you guys doing? And good morning. Hey, some of you guys are catching this now at work, but it's gonna be worth your while. My name is Kat, your host today. I'm not alone. I'm joined by two gentlemen. We're gonna be talking about entrepreneurship, about their business, and what they're doing. But before we continue any further, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, like, subscribe, and according to Lesedi and Lorna, Tyson Fury, that notification button. But anyways, today I've got with me two gentlemen from Dopey Phi, or is it Depofy? Or get Depofy, you know. So we're gonna find out, is this a streaming service or what's going on? Because I'm sure you guys you're also looking at it like, nah, bro, is this like a branch of like Spotify now?
Listen, we've had people call it Depofy.
Depofy. Introduce yourself, gentlemen. Let's start there.
I'm Elvis Magakula, co-founder of Depofy.
Okay. Yeah. And yourself?
I'm Victor Morta. I'm also the co-founder of Depofy.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So let's go into it. Like, what is Depofy?
Do I kick us off? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Depofy, in one sentence, we're an insurance company.
You know? Insurance.
Yeah. What we do is we offer landlords the chance to actually rent out their properties without ever having to ask for deposits. Whether it's a security damage deposit or they want to use it as a rental cover in case you skip the last month and not pay your rent.
Yes.
Now, I know some people get excited because they're like, oh, that means I can break more stuff now. No, that's not what we do. So we still don't promote negligent behavior or you not treating your home like a home.
Okay.
So, but what we do basically is we offer you as a tenant the opportunity to not have to spend that extra 12 grand on your first month. You know, we're trying to make the cost of moving in as minimum and as minimal impact in your life as a young professional, as a student, and all of that.
Run me down. So is Depofy aimed at who's your customer? Is it me, the tenant, or is it me, the landlord? Who needs this? Who needs Depofy?
So I'll put it
who opens the policy with you?
I'll put it in simple terms. Depofy helps the landlord and the tenant.
Okay.
Now, yes, we are tenant facing.
Yes.
Meaning the tenant is the one who has the inconvenience of moving in. Yeah. Why? Because the landlord doesn't trust you.
Yes.
That's why they ask for such large sums of money.
Yes.
But we do actually take a policy with you. So what you do is you're basically taking a policy saying, you don't know me, but these guys trust me enough to say they'll cover if anything breaks.
Yes.
And that's why you take the policy, and we have an agreement with your landlords that they can claim against you should anything happen at the end of your tenancy.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so typically this insurance, how does it work? So you insure for any particular landlord. It's not like on your website you already have a search function where properties that you're already working with or whatever.
Yeah, so right now we've just launched Depofy. So we've just opened it to a few selected landlords.
Yes.
Which means not everyone right now can apply, but we're working towards that.
Okay. And are you guys underwritten by any?
Not as of yet. So right now we are talking to few insurance companies that are looking, to open the conversation of underwriting.
It's basically we like to call it street capital.
Okay.
Where you're underwritten by your funds from, say, family members, friends, and that type of stuff, where they give you a lump sum of money so you can actually take in that risk.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually have some important questions, but before we actually get into those, I want a practical model, because now for somebody as well who's also just had this, trying to determine, is this really for me? Do I continue and whatever? So I want us to make a use of a practical example. Here's me. Here in Mtunzi Valley, right? Yeah. They're telling me rent is 15,000, right? So do I then, as the tenant who wants to stay here, approach you? Then I'm like, okay, so then how do you guys, what is the process and how do you guys determine my premium? Take me through all of that, and how long is that you're working with? How does that model work?
Okay, I can take. So it's a pretty simple model. How we work is we approach landlords, so who led to our target demographic, which is mostly young professionals and students. And what we do is we offer them a partnership agreement.
Yes.
And what that partnership agreement actually does is it governs your agreement with us.
Yes.
In a way that every time you apply through Depofy, then they basically are governed by that partnership.
Yes.
And how it works is we're basically saying to them, you can now offer your tenants the opportunity to rent with you without having to have a deposit. And once you've vetted your tenants and whatever, and you've pre-approved them, so when they say, yeah, you can rent, then you can come to us and say, look, I have been approved. I don't have the money for the deposit, or I want to use it to get a couch, or whatever it is people want to do with their money. Then you come to us and we'll calculate your premium, we'll vet you, do screening and check and all of that, and then we'll say, okay, cool. You can now move in with that landlord and you don't have to pay any deposit.
How do you calculate that premium? That's the important question for the viewer who's watching.
So for us, we have a large number of actually risk factors that we look at. But it's quite interesting, but I'll just give you a few to make an example.
Okay.
So for example, we don't look at things like your sexual orientation or your racial profile or anything like that. So we look at factors that are more reasonable. So like what we call the occupancy ratio, which is basically the number of people living in the property and how big the property is. So for example, if it's 3 guys living in a bachelor studio, chances are there's more strain on the facility. So that those guys are much more of a risk than one person living in the thing.
Okay.
And another thing we look at is occupation. So if you have lived so when I say occupation, I mean how your work and how long you've been renting in history. So your rental history. So if you've been renting for 3 years, you're less likely to be more of a problem than someone who has no rent. You know? Because when you've been renting, we have data on you. Other people you've rented with have reported you to a few credit bureaus. So we know your rental history, if there's been claims against your name and that type of stuff. So we look at a few things like that, but it's all more dynamic. We try to not discriminate so as to actually keep everyone fair. So we do consider things like gender, which are a bit touchy, but we don't evaluate it too high. So we try to minimize the impact of that factor. Because for us, it's, there is data the same way when you get car insurance. When you're a young male, it's going to be probably much higher than when you're a young female. But what we've done is we've tried to actually take that factor and actually don't factor it in as much as other companies do. Because what we're looking at is we want to build trust between people. So we're looking at, even if you're new and we don't have data on you, you can come to us and say, I have a landlord I've rented with. And if they give us a recommendation and they're actually an estate agent who's registered with the EAAB, which is the Estate Agencies Affairs Board, then at least we know someone who's reputable can vouch for you as a good tenant. And we'll even lower your premiums even further.
Sorry, just to touch on premiums, we've been getting a lot of these questions, and we just want to just make it clear that Depofy is not a short-term loan. It's not a loan. So you don't end up paying the equivalent of the deposit. So it's much less than a loan. So I just wanted to put that because we've been getting a lot of these questions, and I think it's important that people know that we are very different from a short-term loan like the Wongas of the world.
Okay, so in actual sense, so the cover amount is obviously would be based on what the landlord would deem as the deposit required. Okay, so then give me then a for in terms of, because somebody now, I want to know that, okay, how much am I likely to pay with these guys?
We have a quick term calculator on the site, so you just go in there, you put in your amount, like say the deposit they're asking for is 5,000. But on average, if you're looking at a deposit of 4,500, the highest the premium can go to is about 181 Rand.
And
that's the highest. That's if you were the riskiest person and you're known to throw chairs out windows. That's how high it would go.
Okay, so then this is for the duration of the lease.
This is for the duration of the lease.
So as long as you're living there, then you pay just 181 Rand a month.
Okay.
And when the lease stops, you stop paying.
Okay. So payment, is it in advance?
No, so you pay it monthly the same way you pay your rent.
Okay.
So every month you pay your rent. Either you pay your premium with your rent to the landlord, or you just let us debit it from your account.
Okay. And then what happens if I stop paying at month 6?
So it's very simple. Because you're getting into a rental agreement with your landlord, it's more or less tantamount to rent.
Yes.
If you don't pay, you're not covered. Therefore, your landlord doesn't want you living there because now you're a risk.
Yes.
So it's in your best interest to keep paying because, well, you can get out of the agreement and give them the 5,000 rand deposit, or you can stay there and pay the 181 rand.
So we offering a subscription to a service.
Yes.
Which means as soon as you stop subscription payment, just as much as if you stop paying Netflix, you wouldn't get Netflix.
Yes.
So if you stop paying Depofy, then you're no longer covered. So is your landlord.
Yeah.
And in which case the landlord will then take matters with you, and probably force you to pay the full amount deposit required. So it is in your best interest.
So in actual sense, in this particular instance, the risk stays with the landlord and not with you guys if I don't pay.
What do you mean?
So if I stop paying my monthly insurance fee with the Depofy, the person who bears the greater risk is the landlord, because then
they don't have surety with you.
Yes.
So, but then this is why we have all these processes and measures to make sure that we don't get people that are not trustworthy in the first place.
Yes.
So the landlord would obviously vet you the first time.
Yes.
But then to make sure that we add an extra layer, we vet for the second time, and what we check for is your history, your history of renting. Are you a trusted tenant? What have people been saying about you? What does your track record say, about your ability to keep a lease running up until the end?
So, okay, I hear you, but typically nowadays I know landlords themselves require that. They actually require a referral letter from your previous landlord so forth. So if I'm an existing landlord, what is the value I'm getting for you? Because if that person defaults on their payment, that risk stays with me. Okay, so it seems like you have just gotten your money, and I just now I'm left with this whole thing. What is it?
In a way that you understand. So the value proposition for landlords is as follows. So what we do for landlords, we're saying you have this guy who can afford. You've actually vetted and you've assessed their affordability. You know where they work.
Yes.
And you want to know if they can actually live there. But the only reason you're asking them for 2 months rent now is because, look, you don't know if they'll pay the last month, first of all.
Yes.
Secondly, you don't know if you'll get your money should they break a door or do anything.
Yes.
What we're saying is, we trust this guy, we vetted them, we know that their disposable income is good enough.
Yes.
Therefore, if they do break a door, they're good for the money.
Yes.
But you don't need to ask them for the 12K.
Yes.
When they break a door, we'll give you the money. Yes. Then we'll go to the guy and say, look, you owe a door, whatever. We've already taken care of it. You can pay us back in this form.
Yes.
Right. And we also offer a rental cover for the landlord. Now, what does this mean? This means if you move out without paying that last month's rent or whatever, we will cover the landlord, provided obviously everything is by the book.
Yes.
So I didn't want to get into too much detail, but if you look at our policies, they're all guided by the law, the South African law. So we look at three principal acts.
Yes.
So the National Credit Act, your Rental Housing Act, and your Consumer Protection Act.
Yes.
So we don't do anything or come up with crazy, hurdles that you need to jump to clear.
Yes.
We do similar as to how it's as if the deposit was there, but it's not.
Yes.
So what we do is we basically say we will go with the same process where they do the move out inspection, and you sign that yes, I did break the door, and then they just bring the same documentation they would have had to us and say, look, this is the money, this is what they've broken. We give them the payment. There's nothing else to do after that. Like there's no processes, there's no screening. We just need to make sure.
So nothing that we do is new. We're just taking existing processes and just automating them. So for example, everything that we govern by in terms of law, it's written in the book. There's nothing that we invented. The landlord, they don't get the 8,000 rand deposit, but they don't need it in the first place. What do they do with it? Nothing. It just sits, it accumulates interest, and then they send it back. It's admin that we're taking out from the landlord. So that's one of many things I think that we at least helping the landlord automate their process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then these premiums, where are they reinvested somewhere? What happens?
Yeah, so remember the premiums you pay, it's a service fee. It's not like a deposit.
Yes.
Forget about a deposit. There's
Yes.
no deposit. It's
Yes.
a service fee.
It's a service
You
fee.
are paying for us to foster that trust between
Yes.
you and your landlord.
Yes.
So what we do with the premiums, depending on obviously the business needs,
Yeah.
some of us we reinvest into the business,
Yes.
and some of it we keep with whatever money we have. Because as an insurance company, as you should know,
Yeah.
we have to have cash on hand.
Yes.
Because when claim
Somebody
season
claims,
comes,
Yes.
we have to pay out
Yes.
those claims.
Yes.
So it all based on the needs of the company at that point in time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then, because there's a lot of like questions actually running through my mind there. So what? Okay. Firstly, or are you guys FSC whatever FSCA or something, whatever FSB calls themselves nowadays? Are you guys approved?
Yeah. So you're talking about compliance now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we are compliant. And we have gone through a few application
Yes.
processes.
Yes.
And the nice thing about the country we live
Yes.
in is there are certain hurdles you have to reach before you have to be fully compliant.
Yes.
So you don't have to be fully compliant with
Yes.
certain things as long
Yes.
as you're still not making revenue of a certain amount.
Yes.
So what we've done is we looked at the cost of some of those processes
Yes.
and looked at what's the worth or the value of doing that now
Yes.
as opposed to investing it in the business, and then when we get to that point, we
Yes.
actually get that accreditation there and then.
Yes.
So we're doing it incrementally. As we get to a hurdle where now we need to be compliant because of the revenue we're generating,
Yes.
then we become compliant.
Okay.
Because some of these processes you pay 10, 15 grand for the
Yeah.
application process.
Yes. Yes.
Which for a small company is a lot of money.
Yes.
And we're not going to put that money here
Yes,
and then
yes.
not be able to acquire customers,
Yeah.
not be able to actually run our daily functions.
Yes.
You know, with regards to the National Credit Regulator, if you're not making a turnover of more than 250,000 rand,
Yes.
you don't have to register as an a national credit provider,
Okay.
which is where we are right now.
Yeah.
As you know, we are bootstrapping, self-funded,
Yes.
maybe with
Yes.
one or two people looking
Yes.
to invest,
Yes.
but not haven't committed.
Yes.
So
If I've already paid a deposit, right, to a landlord who's now affiliated with you guys, can I get my deposit back from my landlord, or what's the process? How can I benefit from your partnership with them?
you can take it back.
Okay, so what we have done is we've tried to go to a point where we can actually start giving people the deposits
Yes.
back. But one of the barriers to actually implementing that
Yes.
model is there's a lot of admin involved.
Yes. Yes.
We can't automate that process.
Yes.
The landlord has to now physically go to that trust account
Yes.
or that savings account and
Yes.
fetch the money and give it back to you.
Yes.
And some landlords are reluctant. But the way we see it is with more mass penetration and actually
Yes.
growth in the demand of people for something that's
Yes.
different,
Yes.
we actually get to a point where
Yes.
it's not too much admin for
Yes.
the landlord, because unfortunately it's the process we can't
Yes.
automate.
Okay.
We would love to ask your landlord to give you
Yes.
back the money. We have asked a few, but
Yes.
most of them are just like, it's work. Why must I do it?
Yes.
So if we could automate it, we'd gladly do it.
Okay, so then also to kind of like wrap it up, just 3 questions that come to mind. So firstly, where can I find you guys?
Okay.
Are you on Play Store? Are you on what is it? iTunes? No, it's not iTunes. Forgot the iStore. Yes, it's on App Store. App Store. Yes.
Right now we are on Facebook
Okay.
and Instagram. We are also looking to get a Twitter account.
Alright.
But what's nice about our following is that we started our Facebook account about a year back. We already have over 4,000 followers that are really interested in this, and with little content, people just got the basics of Depofy doesn't really allows you not to pay deposit, and then we started getting followers. So from that alone you can tell that there is a need. So another place that you can find us is our website. We actually have a live chat that you can access.
Okay.
And if you have any questions whatsoever regarding the content, you don't understand anything, you can just contact us. And furthermore, we also have frequently asked questions. So if there are more questions that we haven't covered in the show, feel free to go to frequently asked questions. Have a look at there.
So is there a physical building I can find you guys? Pella, jiggy, money.
No.
Wait, why point like that?
So-
There is the
like I think my partner said earlier,
Yeah.
we try to bootstrap everything.
Yeah.
We've practiced very religiously the lean methodology.
Yes.
We try to not pay for anything we don't need to.
Yes.
We invest only in what adds value to our users.
Yes.
Our users are people who don't want to pay deposit.
Yes.
They're not people who want to take a taxi and not pay deposit.
Yes.
Why do we need an office?
Yes.
So we're not going to invest in paying $4,000 on rent for something that's not adding value to the people we're serving.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have an office as of now.
Okay. So, but in terms of technology, is there plans to have an app and also debit order? How does it work? Do you guys have like what do you call these debit order forms that you run them yourself? That I get debited. It's not me. I have to put a stop order on my account or whatever.
We have spoken right now. We are in talks with our bank to just automate the process. But
yes.
Right now we are running it manually.
Okay.
So you'll submit your details and we'll create the debit order for you.
Yeah.
We are looking at expanding in terms of other payment methods that
yes.
are people are most comfortable with.
Yes.
We have people that are okay with
yes.
paying every month cash.
Yes.
Just submitting whatever funds is owed to us, and we just have people that want to automate the system. So we just want to make sure that we cater for everyone. Right now we are doing it manually. Yeah.
Are you guys looking for what do you guys need in terms of help right now? Because there's maybe potential investors, subscribers, and whatever, or even now individual subscribers. Are you open to them investing into your business? And can either be through share capital or bonds or whatever and so forth, or are you only looking at corporate investment?
I'll keep it short, but we have looked at a few various funding models,
yes.
And part of why we sort of didn't take investment initially was we wanted to prove our concept and prove traction and actually get to a point where we can now allocate sort of what our capital needs are in terms of scaling, because it becomes very, many startups come up with a funding model. They're like, we need 10 million, but they don't have their processes down in place, so they don't know how much it's going to cost to actually build what they want. They don't really understand how their business works, because a business works differently on paper than in reality.
Okay.
You come every day and your users like, I click the button. Yeah, but that's not a button. There's all sorts of nuances that you need to get to, and for us, we are in need of, I think our immediate need for post beta is underwriting.
Okay.
But the problem with what we have been asking for in underwriting is most underwriters are catering for your standard insurance model. So they give you fixed underwriting. So for example, they'll say, we'll give you underwriting of 2 million. And when there's a claim, you have access to 2 million rand. Pull out of that 2 million rand and give to your users or whatever, to whoever's claiming.
Yes.
And that will cost you, say, around number 100,000 rand a month.
Yes.
But now we're a company that realizes that we need variable underwriting. Because, for example, our users don't claim every month. Reason being, you have a lease of 12 months.
Yes.
Your damage is only coming at the end of the lease. Why am I covered for 2 million rand when you're not claiming? Why am I paying that 100,000 rand every month? So we can go on our system and say to whoever's underwriting us, say, hey, look, we, based on our projections, we need underwriting of 600,000 in March. In June, we estimate we're going to be needing 800,000, and then we actually pay our premiums based on that. And we haven't gotten an insurer who's open-minded enough to work with us in that sense. Everyone's trying to give us a solution that's retrofitted to their needs and not our problem.
Okay, makes sense. So then, obviously, typically somebody's like, I spend like a year at with my landlord and I'm leaving, and like in essence, there are no damages and everything. Do I get the feedback that I've been paying? Is there like a cash back or something for like 3 months? Like, you've been so good, here's 3 months off.
Well, with the first question, no, we are disrupting deposit, meaning we want to do away with deposit, at least by the year 2025.
Yes.
We don't want deposits to exist in South Africa because there's no need for them. So what you're paying for is not a repayment of your deposit. It's a service fee for us to assure your landlord that if something happens, you good for that money. We will compensate the landlord. And with the second question, there is a reward system we are planning to implement. Meaning, if, for example, a tenant finishes their lease without having broken anything, maybe when they start a new lease, we'll have something like free moving, where we'll help them move for free to their new apartment. So little perks like that we are planning on implementing, but with the moving part that is already in place. So we are already helping tenants move in for free.
Oh, okay. Okay. So tell me, how did you guys come up with this idea? Oh, were you guys trying to move to a center and then because it was not reaching there, then you're like, nah, bruh. Nah.
Yes. So we do get that question a lot. And to be honest, we are like your average entrepreneur. We've had multiple businesses that some have succeeded, some didn't fail but reached their lifespan. You get to there's no way any other users are coming. You just plateau. And you're not happy with earning that 10, 20K for the rest of your life. So you gotta sell this to someone who might make it better. But to answer your question, it actually came from a previous idea which was similar to what Property 24 does and those letting platforms. And how it came about is we had built the platform, we were ready to launch, and we were trying to look at promotional things we could do. How do we get people to come on board? And one random 3 a.m. phone call, we're talking about this, and Elvis is like, what if maybe they don't pay deposit or whatever? And we came up with a whole idea of how we could make them not pay deposit. And we realized that maybe the business is just...
Can I just it was funny because as soon as that was mentioned, like, what if they don't pay deposit? There was this awkward silence. Because I think at that time we knew that was the business. Like right there, that was the business. And from there, I think we just started, planning on how we can actually make this a standalone business. And sorry to cut you, Vic, but funny enough, having done our landscape analysis, across South Africa, just sweeping and just trying to make sure whether there were companies that were actually doing this right now. There were very few in South Africa, and all of them with a business model that was not suited for the tenants. But in the UK, coincidentally, there are a lot of companies that are competing for that space. It's a big space in the UK. In the US, there are a few companies as well. So we knew that this particular business model hasn't been implemented in South Africa, but it doesn't mean that there's no market.
So then what is your guys' background? Like, are you guys accountants? Are you guys like your 9-to-5s? Like, did you guys have, because I'm trying to think that who are these guys, these founders? Because you need to know like who are these founders that you actually now working with or whatever and so forth. Like, if now I'm gonna pitch a particular product, your background is kind of material. Like, do these guys actually know what they're doing? And do they know what they're talking about? So what is your actual background, you guys? Like, what do you guys do? What is?
I think you'd have the best answer for this.
what is your 9-to-5 or what is it?
Okay, so I'm your typical chasing a dream that you don't yet understand type of person.
Okay.
So if you're talking like your paper background, I went to WITS. I did mechanical engineering. But before I graduated, I already knew I didn't want to be an engineer. So post that, I was in love with programming. I like writing code, building applications, and that's what we do.
Okay.
So for me, I knew leaving there that's not what I'm gonna do. So I decided I'm gonna go take some low-paying gig as a developer, so I can learn the craft and work on actual, programming problems, build applications, build solutions, understand the industry. And post that, we decided, look, we want to start our own business, but it's best we get jobs, work in companies, understand how people work, so we can also build our own thing and work.
I'd like to answer the question as well. I know Vic already answered it on our behalf, but just to add on that, I mean, we are in a show called Ignorant Millennials. We are not ignorant. There's a wide range of information available.
Yeah.
You don't need nowadays. You don't need to be a space expert to want to take people to the moon. You can find people that will guide you and teach you and educate you in that space. So much so, if you have the vision, which is what we have. We have the vision. We have people around us that are in these industries that can guide us, and we are not shying away from this guidance. We are actually seeking a lot of guidance. So if you're asking us, do we need to be qualified to operate in this space? The answer is no. We don't have to be qualified. I'm a graphic designer by profession. Studied graphic design. I was interested in web development and becoming an engineer. I taught myself that. Now I'm teaching myself how to run an insurance company.
Amazing. So also a critical question, the last one to just wrap it up is, are you guys employing for somebody who's looking for a job? Because you guys are growing, so I'd assume when you're growing, there's a couple of vacancies as well. Not yet.
Yeah,
all right.
We said lean until necessary.
Okay. And
only what adds value to our users.
Closing words from you guys, anything that you guys want to mention or say before?
Depofy.co.za.
Thank you very much. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We out.